So that's called presenteeism and stress. I want to talk now about non-work presenteeism. So, and people are now starting to talk about this as being more costly than presenteeism. This is the idea that people come to work, they're fully fit and engaged, or might not be engaged, they're fully physiologically fit, mentally fit, but they do other things. So they do turn up to work, they do other activities, they do Facebook, they're not sick. Maybe this is the new generation of people who love digital media and so on. Should we allow them to be doing Facebook? And it's not actually just not digital media, it's also going talking to other people and doing anything, but that's not work. Okay? So this is non-work presenteeism. This is a paper we just got published, and actually there'll be a story in the Herald Sun tomorrow about this paper. But it's people who do a lot of social discussions, are on the internet, play games, do Facebook a lot. So at the moment we don't actually know whether this is advantageous or harmful for an organisation. We think it's harmful in terms of productivity. But one of the questions we wanted to ask in this study is why, is there a type of person who engage in non-work presenteeism more than others? So there's a type of person who comes to work, looks at Facebook, plays games. I think we're obviously all guilty of this to some extent. So it's really a sort of scale about how much people do it. So we got 184 full-time employees from different industries. We gave them a battery of anonymous questionnaires. So we gave them questionnaires on how much non-work presenteeism that they engaged in, emotional intelligence questionnaire, a questionnaire on their boredom in the workplace, and a questionnaire actually also a questionnaire on procrastination, and their questionnaire on the level of occupational stress. Okay? And we had a hypothesis actually that non-work presenteeism, the more you use Facebook or do non-work things, would actually be related to occupational stress. So if I'm really stressed at work, I can't face it anymore, I'm going to use Facebook or playing games as a coping mechanism to reduce my stress levels. But there are other possibilities too. It could be because they have poor mood management, they had low emotional intelligence, so that they don't experience positive emotions, they experience more negative emotions, and therefore they're avoiding work. So they're not actually mentally feeling very happy about work. Maybe they're just bored and want to do something else. And maybe these people are just great procrastinators, okay? It's just how they work. They'd rather do something else. So what were the results, really quickly? So people who showed much higher non-work presenteeism were not more stressed. Stress was not related to it at all. So it was not a coping mechanism for stress. But they had lower emotional intelligence, particularly emotional management. They were more bored and they procrastinated more. So they were the results. So positive correlations between those things, negative correlation with lower emotional intelligence. So that sort of was interesting. So non-work presenteeism is not a coping mechanism for being highly stressed at work. They're not avoiding work because they're stressed. It's higher in employees who can't manage their emotions well, particularly ones that can't transit the experience of negative emotions into more positive emotions. You think these people would actually be more stressed, but it wasn't the case. And is higher in people who procrastinate and who are bored. So what does this mean for the results? Well, we actually also found that procrastination and boredom were related to lower levels of emotional intelligence. So people who have low levels of emotional intelligence tend to procrastinate more and get bored more easily. So that's sort of interesting. It may be because they can't transit these different states. So, when we experience positive emotions, we're more motivated to do tasks. We're happier in the workplace. So that might be the reason. So anyway, I guess the final thing is that if we want to reduce non-work presenteeism, then we want to help employees better manage their emotions. And developing emotional intelligence is a really good way of doing that. We also want to provide a more interesting, engaging workplace. We don't want people to have a boring workplace. And we need to help them stop procrastinating. So we need to help them better manage their tasks and have better supervision in terms of their tasks. So, and we're thinking that maybe non-work presenteeism, people who spend time on other things than work, it's probably not an adaptive thing actually, because people who did it more had lower levels of EI, and we know that lower levels of EI lead to lower work performance, much lower leadership and higher absenteeism in our other studies. So that's really where I'm going to stop. So if you are interested in partnering with us in terms of any programs or research in your organisations or any of the studies that we've got going now, please feel free to contact us or Swinburne Industry Solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This has been a Swinburne production.